Everyone, and welcome to week one of English 120. I need to apologize in advance for my voice. I've had a cold all weekend and my voice has not come back yet. I promise I will sound better soon. So, this week I'll be introducing you to our class. I'll be giving you an orientation just to tell you a little bit about Canvas, and you'll learn about how we're going to be actively reading and journaling in this class. The readings you're going to have are very short this week. You're just going to be reading The Story of an Hour by Kate Chopin. Very, very short story. There's going to be 3 assignments. You're going to complete your first online discussion forum. It's really a way for us to get to know each other and as a way for you to get to know how to use the discussion forum function in our class. And then you'll be completing journal number 1, and you'll also be completing module number 1, our research module number 1, which is an orientation and overview. And that will end with a quiz that you are required to take. Each week you will have a quiz at the end of our research modules. So hello, my name is Iris Jamal Dunkel. You can call me Dr. Dunkel. This is what I look like. And I've taught English for the last 15 plus years. I went to the George Washington University for undergrad. That's in Washington, D.C. And then I went to NYU for my MFA in poetry. Then I went to Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, and I graduated in 2010. Since then, I've been teaching, and through that, since 1998, actually, I've been teaching creative writing and writing. I'm a poet. I have 3 books of poetry that have been published, and I have a biography on Jack London's wife, Charming Kittredge London, that will be coming out next fall. I'm from Sonoma County, and I grew up here, and I'll be telling you a little bit more about myself in this week's discussion. So let me tell you a little bit about this course. And I do apologize, this lecture will probably be the least exciting, but I do want to emphasize that it's very important that you listen to all of the lectures. You will not be able to pass this class unless you listen to the lectures. I will be posting every once in a while an Easter egg or a little fact in the lecture that you will only find if you listen to the whole lecture. So each week you're going to receive an email on Wednesdays like you did today. And in that email, you'll know that you'll be notified that the content is live. I will post on this website a lecture. There'll be a link in the email as well to this lecture, and it'll also be posted on the website. It's really, you want to think of these lectures as kind of like our class meeting. It's where I'm going to teach you the concepts that we're going to be covering during the week. And you really have to pay attention to them. I do know how many people are watching the lectures, and so if I see those numbers are really low, then I do start putting tests in and Easter eggs and things to make sure that you're watching the lectures. It's really in your best interest to watch the lectures. And like I said, they're always more exciting than this one. You have to complete all of the assignments during the week that they're due. They will always be due on either a day before or Tuesday of the week, Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. And if you ever have questions, you can always email me or you can stop by my office. So there's 2 required books, but the first one that you're going to need is The Bedford Researcher by Mike Palmquist. And this is available at the bookstore. We are also going to be reading the novel Whose Names Are Unknown by Sonora Babb. I will post information about that later this semester. So your requirements is you must log in during the first week if you don't want to be dropped from the class. If I don't see you active in the class by Tuesday at 11:59 p.m., you will be dropped from the class. So during the semester, you must log in every single week, and if you fail to log in during a 2-week period, you will be dropped from the class. It's just like if you didn't show up to class and we had an in-person class. If something happens, an unexpected conflict arises, it's your responsibility to get in contact with me and let me know what's going on, okay? So how you'll be graded in this class. 50% of your grade are the essays and exams and related assignments you're going to be creating in this class. This is a writing class, and so you'll mainly be graded on your writing in this class. There's an online research unit. Those are the quizzes you're going to take on the research modules. At the end of the first 13 weeks of this class, there will be a quiz every week. And those quizzes add up to 10% of your grade, so please take them seriously. The rest of your grade is made up of participation, and that is our weekly discussion forums, like the one that we're going to be doing today, and also your journal entries, which we'll also be doing today. There's also extra credit available in this class. I'll talk more about that in a second. So the writing assignments for this class are expected to be in MLA style. That means that your paper should be formatted like the paper to the right. There's a 1-inch margin around the whole paper. In the left-hand corner, you'll see your full name, the professor's name. So this would be, because for my paper, it would say Iris Jamal Dunkel, Professor Dunkel, English 120, and then the due date of the paper. The actual title of the paper should be centered, and it shouldn't be bold. The first paragraph is indented, 5 spaces. If you have any questions on how to do this, we will be going over this in great detail, but you can also look at the Bedford Researcher in pages 363 to 367. Like I said, if you want to reach me, I really recommend all of my online students, if you can, stop by campus. I would love to meet you in person. My email is idunkel@napavalley.edu. You can also reach me through the Canvas feature. There's a way to just email me directly. That goes directly into my inbox. I have office hours on Mondays and Wednesdays. You should say Mondays and Wednesdays. Sorry, it only says Monday. Mondays and Wednesdays from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then from 11 to 12:30. I'm also available online on Tuesdays from 11:30 to 12:30. You can just chat with me in class, or you can send me an email and I will call you on the phone, or we can Skype together to have a conference. If none of these times work, you can always reach out to me and I will happily set up a time that we can meet. So one of the things that we're going to have are conversations every class. You want to think of it as a way that, like, if we were in a classroom environment, this is where we would talk to one another. You're required to participate in these discussions in a timely manner. There will be a first due date where you need to post your own response, and your response needs to answer all the questions. And I want to see evidence that you've actually thought about it, and I'll talk about how I'm going to grade that in a second. There's also another due date, and that's the due date for you to respond to at least 3 of your peers' posts. That means I need a thoughtful response. When you respond to someone, you want to address them directly, like Dear Joe or Hi Joe, and then you want to sign your name at the end. You want to engage in the conversation in a way that's not just praising what they said, but ask questions, or brings a conversation to a deeper level. So here's a rubric for how you'll be graded. This is also posted in our online forum. If you want to get all 10 points, you need to post a response that's at least 200 words. It needs to address all of the topics, and you need to respond with at least 150 words to at least 3 of your classmates. Your comments, the questions need to be responsive to the discussion questions. Your comments or questions significantly need to enhance the quality of the discussion, and they need to provide evidence that you have read and considered a substantial number of classmates' postings before responding. So don't just respond to the first 3 you see. Really read the responses and see what you want to respond to. As always, spelling and grammar count in this class. You need to sign your name at the end of your post. And when you respond to your peers' posts, you need to address the person whose post you are responding to. You can see by the other columns what happens when you lose points. And if you have questions about how you'll be graded, please just send me an email. So for our first discussion forum, you're going to answer the following questions. What is your full name? And if appropriate, what do you like to be called? So sometimes, my full name is Irish Jabal Dunkel, but in this class, I'd like you to call me Dr. Dunkel. Where are you from, and any details you'd like to share about your family? So I'm from Sonoma County. A detail I'd like to share about my family is I have 2 sons who are teenagers. One's 14 and one's 16. Your favorite novel or story and why it's your favorite. Now I want to give you all a tip please do not answer, I don't like to read, or I don't really have a favorite story, because you will not get full credit for this post. It's your job to figure out a novel or story that means something to you by the time that you post this post. So for me, my favorite novel is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. And I like it because of the way it tells a long story about generations of people and how they lived on the land in California. It really is meaningful to me when people talk about our history. And then you want to share a photograph of you, if you're open to that, or of something you love, and explain to us. If it's something you love, you got to explain to us why you posted that. Okay, so your initial post should be at least 250 words, and you need to post it by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Then you want to respond to at least 3 of your peers' posts by Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. All right, for this week, after you've done your introduction and you've met everybody in the class, we are going to be reading a short story that's really short. It's called The Story of an Hour. So before you read it, I want you to print out the story and think about a few things. So the first thing is I want you to think about who Kate Chopin is. Do you know anything about her? When you pull up the story, you'll notice there's a live link where you can connect to a biography on Kate Chopin, and you'll learn who she was, where she lived, and a little bit about her. I encourage you to click on that and take some notes about who she is before you start writing and before you start reading the short story. What genre is this text? Well, we can look at it. By looking at it, you can see that it's not poetry, because poetry has usually shorter lines. And by reading about Kate Chopin, you'll see she mainly wrote fiction, and it looks like this is a piece of fiction. When was it written? So it's written. When you look at the actual story, you'll see it gives you an indication as to when it was written or published, and you should make sure you know that, because it changes based on when a story was written, right? If it was written in 1898 versus 2020, things have changed a great deal in the last century, right? So that will affect your reading. What does the title of the text make you think the text is going to be about? Well, let's think about it. The words, the story of an hour, make me think that this story will probably take place within the time of an hour, right? It's probably not going to be longer than an hour, right? And there's something about that hour that's important, would be what I'm thinking. So that's just me thinking about it. You want to write down what you think this story should be about or will be about. Next, while you're reading, I want you to have a pen or pencil out, and I want you to circle any words you don't know. For example, there's a word in here called elixir. Elixir is a word that people don't usually come across. So if that's a word you don't know what it means, I want you to look it up in the dictionary, and be aware that you will be asked to know these words. It's important that you know all of the different words in this text. Maybe there's something that you're reading and it reminds you of something else, like a short story you've read, another short story you've read, or a TV show that you've seen. Make a note of that. If there's something that you really agree with in the story, underline it and tell me why. If there's something you disagree with, underline it and tell me why. If there's an area you don't really know what's going on, mark that down. If you identify, the main character, write that down. Who do you think the main character or protagonist is? Um, is there something that you think is the main theme or the point of the text? Underline that. If you need to summarize what's happening in the story, ask questions while you're reading. Ask the author questions or yourself or the characters. If you see a literary element, like for example, there's an example of something called an epiphany in this text. If you don't know what an epiphany is, look it up, or and see if you can identify where it happens, and really make sure you know who the main character is in the story. Um, think about uh, who the story's whose story is really being told in this story and what the character desires more than anything else. What stands in the way of that character's achievement of his or her goal? And who is telling the story? Is it the main character or is it someone else? Where does the story take place? Do you think it's a real place? And if so, where is it? Is there an image that sticks out for you to you as being important? Is there like some sort of like symbol that you see that maybe means more than just what it is? If you can, I want you to identify any literary elements that you see in the story. Okay? So I'd like you to spend some time actively reading The Story of an Hour. You can stop this lecture and do so, or you can listen to the whole lecture and then come back to it. After you've read The Story of an Hour, I want you to spend some time, uh, I'd like you to spend 10 minutes writing a journal entry. In your journal entry, I want you to tell me, where do you think The Story of an Hour takes place? Who is the main character or protagonist of the story? Whose story is being told? What does that character desire more than anything else? And what stands in the way of that character's achievement of his or her goal? Who is telling the story? Is it the main character or is it someone else? Is there an image that sticks out as being important and why? And I do have a couple more questions, so excuse me for 1 second while I pull up our class. You get to see my messy. Um, Here's our class and our modules. This will give you and I will show you the journal. The last two questions are, what do you think the end of the story means? And what is the joy that kills? And then how different would this story be if it were set in modern day? This is an important question for you to understand um, the events that happen in the story. All right, finally, I want to take you through the orientation and overview. Each week, you'll get one of these research modules, okay? This is our module for the week. Each week will look like this. Orientation and overview. This is where you will learn this information and directly following it is a research quiz. So what's really important is that you slowly click on this and you read through all of this information, right? Don't just click through really fast, but you read through this. The main thing you want to know about this research unit is that it's an introduction to what we're going to be doing throughout the semester, right? The two things we're trying to learn in this class is how to think, read, and write critically about a variety of ethical, civic, and intercultural issues. And then we're going to learn how to write coherent, well-supported, and grammatically correct documents while also demonstrating adequate research skills, including locating, evaluating, integrating, and documenting sources using discipline-specific styles such as MLA. So the main thing you want to learn is you're going to learn how to understand that research is rhetorical, that you research for a purpose. You write for an audience and you define a research focus based on particular discussions about a topic. To understand the principles of academic ethics and how good research habits and skills make following those ethics, honesty, treating sources fairly, and acknowledging sources easier. And the main thing you're going to be working on is you're going to understand through practice and the use of discrete skills of good research how to develop a good research question, how to develop a good research strategy, how to take good notes and how to keep a good research log. You're going to draft so as to keep track of sources. You're going to learn how to use sources effectively, and you're going to learn how the conventions of source integration and citation happen in your papers. And finally, you're going to learn to understand that as a research writer, your voice and your ideas matter. So the rest of this unit is going to click you through and teach you like how these units actually work. You're going to get 2 chances to take quizzes every week, and that's it. So if you take the quiz the first time and you bomb, you want to take some time before you go back and retake it. This is going to tell you how to use Canvas and how to download Canvas app for your phone. This is an introduction to our text, our main text for this course, The Bedford Researcher. It's really important that you buy this text. Either you can buy a digital version if you'd like, but you need to have a copy of the text. It's required. Finally, this is some tips on how to really move forward in this class and get an A, which means just log in and do the work and ask questions when you have questions. These are support centers that are available for you. The Writing Center is a great support that you can take drafts of your writing into. It will help you find issues that maybe you won't find on your own. And finally, there's a quiz that you'll need to take at the end of this unit that will test you on whether or not you've learned the information in this quiz. Like I said, you can retake it if you didn't do well the first time. So hopefully that recorded. That's it for this week. If you have any questions, please come see me or email me. My office hours, I'm in my office Wednesday till 12:30 today, and then I will be available online tomorrow if you have questions. Just shoot me an email. If not, I'll be available on Monday. I'll be in my office from 8 till 9, and then from 11 until 12:30. All right, that's it, you guys. I'll see you online.